Well, good evening. I trust you're doing well. This 26th day of March 2021. Glad you could join us here on TV 47 Weekend. My name is Musa Salah. Coming up in the next 60 minutes. Tonight, President Uhuru Kenyatta imposes an indefinite partial lockdown on 5 counties in a bid to contain the third wave of the deadly COVID-19. Also tonight, the fate of the BBI is now uncertain after President Uhuru Kenyatta ordered all ordinary parliamentary sittings stopped until further notice. Plus, over 700,000 KCSE candidates start writing their tests without any hitches, even as Education CS George Magoha battles allegations of possible leakage in the KCPE examination that ended Wednesday. And bandits strike in Baringo, killing 1 person and injuring 2 others, just 2 days since the curfew was lifted, and a 30-day ceasefire announced to allow room for voluntary surrender of illegal arms. Welcome to the broadcast. Anne Wairimu is our sign language interpreter. TV 47 Weekend begins right now. More than 750,000 Form 4 candidates are set to tackle the Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education exams, which began this morning, led by Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha. Education stakeholders and officials witnessed the opening of examination containers in various parts of the country. The examination is expected to go on until the 21st of April. David Mudoka has more.
Barely 2 days after the conclusion of KCPE exams, today marked the beginning of the month-long KCSE examination for over 750,000 candidates in the country. Their first was a 2-hour English paper, which began at exactly 8 a.m. English paper 2, which has been slated between 11 a.m. and 1:30 p.m., followed suit. Led by Education Cabinet Secretary George Magoha, education officials and their counterparts from other relevant ministries witnessed the opening of exam containers in various parts of the country. The Form 4 national examination is set to go on until 21st April. Speaking in Kisii County, where he also supervised the distribution of exam material to various centers, Magoha has urged KCSE candidates to emulate their KCPE counterparts in ensuring cases of cheating are a thing of the past. According to him, no cheating has been detected so far.
I want to assure the nation and the children and the parents that the test that has just been done at the Kenya Certificate of Primary Education was of the highest integrity. Just like this one this morning, I've been telling these guys to check whether they think anybody knows what is in the paper.
In Mombasa County, TSC CEO Nancy Macharia led a similar exercise where she revealed that 227,000 teachers will be overseeing the examination. Macharia, however, fired a warning to some 20 schools in the coastal region prone to exam cheating that they are on the authorities' radar.
I wish to urge the center managers countrywide to be extra vigilant in guarding the examination papers at our centers against any form of malpractice.
Mombasa has some 9,042 candidates sitting the examination. In Isiolo County, Education CAS Mumina Bonaya urged officials manning the exam process in the restive region to be on the lookout for cases of insecurity and ensure that the more than 1,400 candidates sitting KCSE in Isiolo are not interrupted for the next 23 days. The CAS also called on strict adherence to COVID-19 protocols to tame cases of infections. Meanwhile, in Nyeri, the Kenya National Examination Council NEC chairman John Onsati also supervised the opening of an exam container at Nyeri's Central Deputy County Commissioner's office in the company of Nyeri County Commissioner Loyford Kibara.
We are not going to compromise the quality at any stage. So as we go out there, it is a serious business that we must all follow the guidelines provided.
The two later witnessed the start of exams at Nyeri High School. In Migori, Suna East Deputy County Commissioner Kibe Maguta led the opening of exam containers containing exam material for the region, paving the way for the start of national exams for candidates in Suna East. Maguta revealed that no candidate will be left out in the examination process, especially those with maternity cases.
Our transport is okay, we are okay, we expect all runners are in, we have not heard of any case unless there are races, so we expect all the best.
In Narok, the county's Commissioner Evans Achoki called on officers manning the paper to adhere to examination guidelines to the latter, insisting that his office will not shy away from cracking the whip on rogue officers.
And any person, any center manager who does the contrary will face the consequences. So let us know that.
A statement that was reiterated by the county's education director.
From the time you hand over those papers to the supervisor, they should be in the exam room under the watch of everyone, including all the candidates and the security officers.
The officials thereafter proceeded to Narok High School, where they assessed the administration of the exam. 9,140 candidates are sitting the exam in Narok. David Mudhoka, TV 47.
Well, thank you so much, David Mudhoka, for that report. Now, a KCSE candidate at Michael Wamalwa Berunda Secondary School in Kiminini Sub-County, Trans Nzoia County, has not fulfilled his dream of joining more than 700,000 candidates to sit for their KCSE examinations after he died moments before the KCSE examination started. The student died from stomach-related complications, and our reporter Boniface Barasa visited the family of the deceased and now files the following report.
The sorrow at home of Nicholas Barasa in Kiminini Sub-County, Trans Nzoia County is almost palpable. Mr. and Mrs. Silas Wekesa are distraught. Their son Nicholas Barasa was set to sit for the 2020 KCSE starting today. His dead moments before the examination started came as a shocker to them.
Jumamosi alienda kanunua vitu zake, akakuja nazo. Jumatatu akaingia shule. Ndio sasa Jumanne asubuhi ugonjwa mkasa. Yeye alikuwa tu ako sawa, alikuwa amejiandaa.
Maumivu ya tumbo kidogo. Hiyo siku tukamtafutilia matibabu, akaja akatibiwa. Siku ya Jumatano ameamka akiwa sawa, akiwa anajiandaa kwenda riaso. Alhamisi pia ameamka licha kwa hakuwa na nguvu sana, lakini akaona aende riaso kidogo.
The parents say their late son was in good health until Tuesday when he started complaining of stomach pain. The situation worsened on Thursday while preparing for the examination at the school, upon which he was rushed to the hospital where he was pronounced dead on arrival.
Walimu wakakuja hapo, kaniambia sawa, mpeleke hospitali, alafu kesho atarudi. Nilitoka naye mwenyewe binafsi, nikaja naye ili kumtafutilia matibabu. Lakini kwa bahati mbaya kuingia ndani ya hospitali ya kupimwa, kaniambia already mtoto ameaga.
The late was described as an obedient and disciplined child who was dedicated to his studies. The Michael Wamalwa Berunda Secondary School student was a shining star for his family.
Nimekuwa mtoto mtiifu. Mtoto wangu alikuwa anapenda masomo, hata nikikaa siamini. Je, nilikuwa najua mtoto wangu ndoto yake inaonekana. Kesho hata nisaidia.
Even as the family comes to terms with the death, his examination items are a big reminder of how he was ready to face the examination that was postponed from last year to this year owing to the COVID-19 pandemic. And when the life of a candidate was lost in Trans Nzoia County, a KCSE candidate in Nairobi brought forth life. A student of Babadogo Secondary School, Kasarani Sub-County, Nairobi County, was forced to sit for her exams in hospital after giving birth to a baby girl.
Lewiski Acheng from Babadogo Secondary School. I am delivered yesterday. I am happy for doing my exam. I'm expecting good result. Environment here, it is good.
Tens of KCSE candidates are sitting for the examination hospital or while heavily pregnant, a predicament attributed to the long school break that was occasioned by the COVID-19 pandemic last year. Boniface Barasa, TV 47, Trans Nzoia County.
Quite an unfortunate incident there. Thank you, Barasa, for that report. The counties of Nairobi, Kiambu, Kajiado, Machakos, and Nakuru have been put under indefinite partial lockdown following the scaring COVID-19 infection rate in the country. Announcing the revised COVID-19 measures, President Uhuru Kenyatta has introduced special curfew hours for the 5 counties, with residents now forced to be at home by 8 p.m. in the evening. The third wave of the coronavirus disease has not been lenient on Kenya, the country recording high infection rates in the past couple of months. In his special address to the nation on Friday, President Uhuru Kenyatta confirmed that Kenya's infection rate has increased by over 20% in the last 3 months, from 2.6% in January this year.
At the end of January 2021, our COVID-19 positivity rate stood at 2.6%. By Monday, the 22nd of March 2021, the positivity rate had jumped to 19%, and indications by our experts is that the positivity rate is now settling at 22%.
These worrying numbers have forced the government to strengthen the anti-COVID-19 measures to limit the spread of the disease. Nairobi, Kajiado, Machakos, Kiambu and Nakuru counties have been locked down partially for an indefinite period, Kenyatta naming the 5 counties as disease-infected areas, limiting movement into and out of those counties. The curfew hours in these counties have also been adjusted. Residents will now be forced to be in their houses from 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. as the remaining 42 counties continue with the current dusk to dawn curfew beginning at 10 p.m. President Kenyatta has also suspended congregational gatherings in the 5 counties. Bars in these counties will now be shut and only restaurants will be allowed to sell alcoholic drinks as takeaway.
Lakini kwenu, ombi langu, tuvumilie kwa muda huu mfupi, huu ugonjwa utupite, na kwa kuvumilia kwenu mutasaidia na mutaokoa wazazi, marafiki, ndugu na dada zenu, mutaokoa maisha yao.
Other nationwide measures include the suspension of physical learning in schools and higher institutions of learning, except KCSE candidates, the suspension of sporting activities, as well as parliamentary sessions in the Senate and the National and County Assemblies. International travel remains unaffected, Kenyatta asking travelers landing in the country to have a valid COVID-19 certificate.
With a PCR certificate also having been validated under the trusted travel platform for those traveling by air.
Well, that story takes us to our first commercial break, but we'll be back with more. Remember, you can follow this live broadcast on www.tv47.co.ke.
So if you come across any disease like yellowing of leaves, rust.
Kama kuna mali kuna maji mingi utakuta inamea lakini haitoi ile garlic inafaa itoi, that standard garlic.
We did onion farming. Today we meet Onion's sister, Miss Garlic. Join us this Sunday at 7:30 p.m. as we talk more about garlic farming.
Cooking, jumping rope, skating, playing indoor games are just but a few of the ways we have fun at Kids on the Block. But that can't be all. We also grow and learn. We have science, spelling, and book reading to sharpen our minds. I, Whitney Dambia, will take you through all these gist only on Kids on the Block every Saturday at 9:30 a.m. Stay tuned.
Next episode of Coffee.
Today our guest is Reverend Dr. Chief Inspector William Watitwa Sifuna. Karibu sana. Karibu sana.
I remember one day a Nigerian lady, an officer.
Yes.
Calling others, say, come and see this Kenyan madman. No, he came here.
Madman.
I was called madman. Bribery according to the law of Kenya is a crime. But now,
catch this story every Sunday at 8 p.m.
Welcome back. You're watching TV 47 Weekend. Let's now take a look at the COVID-19 numbers in the 5 disease-infected counties that have prompted President Uhuru Kenyatta to revise the COVID-19 restrictions. Zaina Mohammed has the details.
Since the onset of the third wave of the COVID-19 pandemic in the country, the number of infections and deaths have been steadily rising, with the country recording a high in almost all the categories. According to statistics from the Ministry of Health, the total number of confirmed cases in January was 4,380 cases, whereas in March alone, a total number of 15,916 cases have been recorded. This means out of every 100 Kenyans tested, 2 were positive in the month of January, vis-a-vis the month of March, where out of every 100 tested, 10 would be positive, a 10 times increase in the number of infections. In terms of death rate, the month of January and February combined, the country lost a total of 184 people, whereas in March alone, the country has lost a total of 239 people. This means between January and February, the country was recording about 3 COVID-19 related deaths daily, whereas in March, the number has gone up to about 7 people every day. The positivity rate in the last 7 days averaging to about 18%, the highest positivity rate ever recorded since the pandemic began. And despite all the 47 counties recording at least one COVID-19 infection case, some counties have taken the lion's share of the infections. Between March 1st and March 26th, Nairobi County recorded a total of 12,739 cases, accounting to close to 60% of the total infections recorded countrywide. What this means is out of every 10 positive cases recorded countrywide, 6 are from Nairobi County. Other counties leading in the number of infections are Kiambu with 1,761 cases, Nakuru 1,499 cases, Machakos 1,008 cases, and Kajiado with 430 cases. Zainab Mohammed, TV 47.
Quite an interesting report there by our health reporter Zainab Mohammed. Thank you so much, Zainab. The move by President Uhuru Kenyatta to suspend parliamentary sittings in the National Assembly and the zoned 5 counties has triggered questions on whether the BBI roadmap will be achieved in Parliament ahead of a referendum in June this year. The Justice and Legal Affairs Committee says it has made progress and their report will be presented in Parliament next week, though that might not happen since Parliament might adjourn indefinitely on Tuesday.
The BBI report was expected to be debated and passed in Parliament in a span of 1 month to pave way for the referendum by June. The big headache now being if BBI timelines will be achieved following President Uhuru Kenyatta's directive to suspend sittings in Parliament, SIGNET, and 5 county assemblies for a known period of time.
That with the concurrence of the parliamentary leadership of both houses of Parliament and with the concurrence of the county leadership, the ordinary sessions of the August House, including those of their committees, and the ordinary sessions of the county assemblies of Nairobi, Machakos, Kajiado, Kiambu, and Nakuru are hereby suspended until further notice.
The move by President is expected to disrupt Parliament's calendar and sittings, thus derailing the whole process, which according to sources, the whole process till a referendum might be pushed to next year.
In accordance with the standing orders of the National Assembly and the Senate, the two speakers of Parliament will move to effect this decision, as will the speakers of the respective county assemblies.
This comes as the Joint Justice and Legal Affairs Committee affirms that they will submit their report by next week after meetings with experts on various matters.
Once we report to Parliament, we throw the whole thing open to members of Parliament. These are issues they will gravitate on and talk about. Our role is just to report, to give a report, consider all the provisions, give observations, our own observations to assist Parliament, so that when they debate from point of view that it is already looked at.
We will try and burn the midnight oil to see if we can finalize the writing of the report, God willing, by latest Wednesday next week. That is the timelines we are working with as a committee, so that we release this report to the next stage.
According to National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi and Majority Whip Emmanuel Wangwe, both houses will sit next week on Tuesday, where they will adjourn as per standing orders. Elizabeth Mutuku, TV47 Nairobi.
Well, thank you, Mutuku, for that report. Now, Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha has rubbished claims that the just concluded KCPE examinations was marred by instances of lifting questions from textbooks in exam prediction papers. This comes barely hours after serious concerns over the credibility of the Standard 8 examination surfaced. Publishers, on the other hand, are now poking holes at the process of setting exams in the country, insisting cases of lifting have become rampant in the recent years, setting the stage for what is expected to be a war of words between them and officials from the Ministry of Education. But as David Muloka now reports, who is fooling who?
Just hours after claims of incredibility in the just concluded KCPE examination emerged, thrusting the Ministry of Education in the eye of the storm, Education Cabinet Secretary George Magoha has poured cold water over the claims. Speaking in Kisii after witnessing the kickoff of KCSE examinations countrywide, Magoha has defended his ministry, describing the process of coming up with the national examinations as straight as an arrow.
Anything that is developed and accepted as credible as a question has gone through the experts who have decided around a table of 6 that this is suitable as a test question for our children.
But observations by TV47 into the claims reveal that indeed sections, especially in the English test done on Monday by Class 8 learners, were lifted from exam prediction papers and textbooks that were exposed to candidates prior to the examination day. For example, this passage section in the KCPE English paper that amounts to 15 out of 50 marks was lifted from a KCPE prediction test that had been circulated to majorly private schools in the country by Distinction Educational Publishers. The test was even administered to learners as part of 11th hour revision. What is raising more eyebrows is the proximity of the administration of the prediction test to the KCPE exam timetable. Fast forward to this comprehensive section in the same paper, running from numbers 39 to 50, and which had 11 marks for learners, was also lifted from Key English Volume 2, a textbook authored by A.S. Sandhu. Evidently, a majority of learners, especially in private schools, were privy to a whopping 26 out of 50 questions, weeks to the examination period.
No child knew what was coming, and to insinuate that some children knew what was coming is taking us 6 or 7 years back.
could have the Kenya National Examinations Council (NEC), mainly responsible for preparing national examinations in the country, contracted these publishers to set the exams on their behalf, thus the copy and paste affair, or was it just a matter of sheer coincidence?
In a phone interview with TV47 Henry Onyonga, the managing director at Distinction Education Publishers, one of the publishers at the center of the attention, has distanced himself from the claims, insisting that he was shocked like every other Kenyan on realizing that his content had been copied word for word, dot for dot in the KCPE English paper. He is now trading his guns on examination setters, accusing them of plagiarism.
Is absolutely ridiculous and should be treated with the contempt that it deserves.
The team tasked with setting a national paper usually comprises of officials from NEC, their counterparts from the Education Ministry, and experts from universities. How the team of professional elites missed such glaring errors begs another question. Was the paper a supplementary one, prepared haphazardly and in haste?
I want to assure the nation and the children and the parents that the test that has just been done at the Kenya Certificate of Primary Education was of the highest integrity. Just like this one this morning, I've been telling these guys to check whether they think anybody knows what is in the paper.
This comes amid warnings from Magoha that cheats in the national exams will face the music if nabbed. But whether this could be the biblical case of noticing a speck in your brother's eye while ignoring the log in your own eye, your guess is as good as mine. David Mudhoka, TV47.
Well, that report by our very own David Mudhoka takes us to another short break, but we'll be back with more. Stay tuned.
So if you come across any disease like yellowing of leaves, rust,
kama kuna mali kuna maji mingi utakuta inamea lakini haitoi ile garlic inafaa itoi, that standard garlic.
We did onion farming. Today we meet Onion's sister, Miss Garlic. Join us this Sunday at 7:30 p.m. as we talk more about garlic farming.
Cooking, jumping rope, skating, playing indoor games are just but a few of the ways we have fun at Kids on the Block. But that can't be all. We also grow and learn. We have science, spelling, and book reading to sharpen our minds. I, Whitney Dambia, will take you through all this just only on Kids on the Block every Saturday at 9:30 a.m. Stay tuned.
Next episode of Coffee.
Today our guest is Reverend Dr. Chief Inspector William Watitwa Sifuna. Karibu sana. Karibu sana.
I remember one day a Nigerian lady, an officer.
Yes.
Calling others, say, come and see this Kenyan madman. No, he came here.
Madman.
I was called madman. Bribery according to the law of Kenya is a crime. But now,
catch this story every Sunday at 8 p.m. Are you a storyteller? TV47 is looking for that untold story close to you. Tell us the story in 3 minutes. Submit that story to Your Untold Stories at tv47.co.ke and stand a chance to win a camera and other goodies. The top stories will be aired on TV47 and the viewer will vote for the best story through the SMS number 22047. The story must be one that has never been told before. The deadline for submitting the stories is March 29th, 2021. TV47, the home of untold stories.
So if you come across any disease like yellowing of leaves, rust.
You are watching TV47, the home of untold stories.
Welcome back. You're watching TV47 Weekend. Now, it is a sigh of relief for cancer patients in the country as Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe on Friday morning witnessed the delivery and rigging of the cyclotron machine for the Kenyatta University Teaching, Referral and Research Hospital's Integrated Molecular Imaging Center IMIC project. The cyclotron machine, the first in Eastern Central Africa, produces radioisotopes that are used to trace cancer cells within the body, thus helping in diagnosing cancer in its early stages. The machine, which is brought together with an MRI machine and a CT scan machine, are said to have cost 2 billion shillings, which also include the construction of a 100-bed capacity molecular imaging center.
The annual incidence of cancer in Kenya is about 28,000 new cases, with an annual mortality of 22,000 cases. That is 78.5% of all cancer victims do not survive. Cancer is also said to be the third leading cause of death in Kenya, after infectious diseases and cardiovascular diseases. Numbers that continue to wreck the healthcare system and patients. But it is with these same numbers also that saw the Kenyatta University Teaching, Referral and Research Hospital acquire the cyclotron machine that is able to detect cancer in its early stages.
The current situation in our country, and actually in Africa, especially East and Central, is that the cancers are being detected very late, at stage 3 and 4. When these cancers are detected late, treating the cancer is difficult.
We will improve on the accuracy in diagnosis and treatment of cancer. We will reduce incurrent or metastasis of cancer. We will improve survivorship.
The machine, a first of its kind in East and Central Africa, is part of imaging equipment the hospital is installing to ensure comprehensive cancer care and treatment, with a team set up to work out the transportation of the tests from the Kenyatta University Hospital to other facilities in the country and the region.
And it's going to produce enough consumables for Kenyan hospitals, for the East African region and for Central, which means if any hospital, if they want to buy a PET scan, we are going to provide them with the isotopes because now we have the machine.
Our people spend about 8 billion Kenya shillings annually seeking cancer treatment in India, South Africa, and Dubai. There is a growing interest from the government and private healthcare providers, as well as public sector, in cancer management.
The hospital also received an MRI machine which is already in operation and a CT scan machine which is installed and in operation. The cost of treatment from the cyclotron machine is expected to be within affordable range, with the hope of NHIF covering for the treatment.
It is indeed a reprieve for the country and for cancer patients in the country, with the government not only seeking to treat local patients but also internationally. Ruth Mulandi, TV 47, Nairobi.
What a reprieve it is for cancer patients, rather. Now, one person has been confirmed dead and 2 others seriously injured after a banditry attack in Mukutani, Baringo South on Thursday evening. The attack comes barely 2 days after Rift Valley Regional Commissioner George Natembea issued a 30-day ceasefire in the region, stopping the security operation in Tiati, which was aimed at flashing out bandits and recovering illegal firearms.
While confirming the incident, Baringo Police Commandant Robinson Ndiwa said that a 60-year-old man was killed on the spot by the bandits and 2 other people were also injured during the deadly shootout. Among the injured is a woman and a child.
Waliweza kuua mtu mmoja wa miaka 60, wakajeruhi bibi yake na mtoto. But askari wetu wameanzisha uchunguzi kuweza kubaini ni kitu gani kilisababisha mpaka hiyo mauaji yakatendeka. Tumekuwa na operesheni ambaye ilikuwa inafanyika kwa hiyo area.
The 8-month-old baby who was shot and seriously injured was referred to Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital, Dorit, while the mother is nursing gunshot wounds at Baringo County Hospital with the bullet still lodged inside her chest. This comes barely 48 hours after Rift Valley Regional Commissioner George Natembea bowed to a request by Pokot leaders to be given a 30-day ceasefire so that they can continue with efforts of finding peace through diplomacy.
Viongozi wa eneo hilo walisihi serikali iwape muda ya kuongea na watu wao waweze kurejesha bunduki. Serikali ilisikiza malilio yao na wakapewa muda wa mwezi mmoja.
Led by West Pokot Governor John Lonyangapuo, Senate Majority Leader Samuel Pohisho, Tiati MP William Kamket and Tiati MCAs, the leaders appealed for forgiveness and a 30-day ceasefire, saying that their people have suffered a lot during the security operation. The meeting, which was held at Lake Bagoria Spa Resort on Tuesday, was also attended by Baringo Senator Gideon Moi, Baringo Woman Representative Gladwell Cheriot, Tiati professionals and members of the clergy. Joseph Tarus, a resident, condemned the incident, accusing the government for turning a deaf ear on their cries, since they have lost a lot of lives. He laments that the 30-day ceasefire was ill-advised as it came at a time when cases of insecurity are still being witnessed.
Sisi tunaambia wale ambao wameumia pole, lakini swali letu kubwa ni kwa serikali. Watu wameumia kutoka 2007. Uvamizi, watu wametolewa manyumba yao, watu wameibiwa, watu wameuawa, watu wamekuwa displaced. Tunauliza, watu wataumia mpaka lini?
Area residents now want the government to bring back Kenya Police Reservist KPR so that they can intensify security in the region.
Langu tu ni NPR warudishwe mapunduki. Ukiona watu wamekutani kama ungekuwa na NPR wao. Unajua NPR wako na advantage because wanajua terrains. NPR wanajua watu wao wako wapi. NPR wanajua ng'ombe yao iko wapi. Naomba tu hiyo policy au consideration ya kureview ile order yenye ilitolewa ndio NPR wanyang'anyi mapunduki iweze kurudishwa.
TV 47 Mike Kagwongo.
Thank you, Mike. Now, thousands of mourners thronged Chato village for the funeral of John Pombe Magufuli. His burial was a grand finale of commemorations for the 5th Tanzanian leader. High-profile notables graced the 7-hour interment ceremony.
Naomba familia ya hayati Mheshimiwa Dr. John Pombe Joseph Magufuli, Mama Janet.
John Joseph Pombe Magufuli, Tanzania's 5th president, has been laid to rest at his ancestral home in Chato, Geita, northwest of Tanzania. His body arrived mid-morning at Rubambangwe Stadium. He was honored with Tanzania's national anthem, the East African Community Anthem, and a 21-gun salute. Archbishop Gervas John Nyaisonga, president of the Tanzania Episcopal Conference, led the Catholic Mass. The body was later transferred to his Chato ancestral home for burial. President Samia Suluhu Hassan, former President Jakaya Kikwete, Zanzibar's former President Ali Hassan Mwinyi, among other dignitaries, were in attendance.
Nachotaka kuambia Watanzania, Dr. John Pombe Magufuli ameitwa na Mungu na ameitika. Na leo tunakwenda kumstiri. Tunachokwenda kukistiri ni kiwiliwili chake tu, lakini maono, mikakati na falsafa yake ya hapa ni kazi tu. Tutaendelea kuwepo na tutaendelea kuifanyia kazi.
Suluhu promised to deliver on the pledges left by Magufuli.
Ndugu zangu,
over the last 7 days, Magufuli's coffin has been traversed across 6 towns in the Republic to allow people to pay their last respects. He has been honored by several states, among them Kenya, Uganda, and Rwanda, who observed national days of mourning. UN offices across the world flew flags half-mast in his honor. His body was